Hello people, OoohBois here. Today I'm going to show you how to use Glider add-on for Elementor to create custom content slider out of section and columns. Glider has been added to Steroids for Elementor package recently, and many people ask me to create a tutorial on how to use it, which does make sense because there's actually no official documentation. First of all, I gotta say that Glider is not a widget. It's a set of options that extend existing set of layout options, which relate to the section element. So simply put together, Glider helps you to turn any section with more than just one column into the fully functional, responsive content slider. Each column or a slide can be built out of available widgets in a way everyone is used to when it comes to Elementor. So let's build something really simple first. Let's create the image slider. I'm going to make a section with 3 columns, each of which will become one slide. The only widget that I'm going to use is the image widget. Glider pairs perfectly well with some other add-ons that also belong to Steroids for Elementor add-ons package. So I'm going to use Breaking Bad add-on to keep my columns 100% wide and stacked one on top of another. This is how I can design my slides much easier in visual sense, because I can see all of them on a screen in the same time, which of course makes much more sense when your slides design is more complex than just one photo. Once I'm done creating my slides, I'll just highlight my section, be sure the layout tab is selected and the Glider panel expanded, and I'll simply turn the section into the slider with one single mouse click. You can see there's plenty of options that help you customize your Glider behavior in general and all of the Glider elements such as navigation or pagination. I'm not about to explain each and every option here. I'm rather gonna customize my Glider towards particular goal. So in that sense, my plan is to reposition previous and next buttons and place them to the bottom of the slider, and in the same time keep these 2 buttons one next to another centered horizontally. This is actually the current position of the pagination. However, I don't want these 2 controls to overlap. I'll rather change the style of the pagination to the progress bar, and by doing so, these paging buttons will magically turn into the progress bar and automatically move to the slider top. Just to mention that you can find the link to the downloadable training file in the description of this video. You're going to be able to import the file into Elementor and study each of the training file slider settings on your own. I don't plan to build each of these sliders in this tutorial because it might take too much time. I'll rather pay your attention to the certain key points only. So my image slider is pretty much done. It worked just fine. I might adjust the height and make it a little bit taller maybe. As you can see, I can make it taller, but it kind of stops to grow at a certain point, which is due to the image height. By the default, images are responsive entities whose width tends to take all the available horizontal space. However, the height might be insufficient sometimes, just like now. Luckily, Steroids for Elementor include another handy add-on that can turn your image into the full height image. So all I need to do now in order to fill the gap in my Glider's bottom is to use Photo Giraffe add-on with every image widget that I use across my Glider slides. Just like I said before, all the add-ons from the Steroids package pair perfectly well with each other. I could also make my slider operate in different direction, vertically, and all it takes is to pick up a different value from direction drop-down. Why am I pointing out something that trivial? Well, I said I'm going to pay your attention to particular key points, and this is one of them. So, whenever you use vertical direction, be sure that adaptable height option is set to no. Vertical direction must have a slider height defined, otherwise you might experience some really strange things. So, in case anything looks wrong or stops working with regards to the Glider when in Elementor editor, first thing you gotta do is to switch it off and then back on. That's some sort of refresh or rebuild action. And in case there are no improvements upon the refresh, you can be sure that you are really doing something wrong. Keep that in mind. Let's talk about the parallax now. In case you didn't know, Glider relies on swiper slider that is built into Elementor. It means that Glider doesn't enqueue any new JavaScript library, but rather uses what's already available. It's a big save on resources. So when it comes to the parallax effect, and in order to be able to use it with Glider, you gotta know how things actually work with swiper. Swiper's parallax relies on so-called data attributes. Believe it or not, you can use Elementor's attributes panel to define swiper or glider required data attributes. It all comes down to assigning one or more of these attributes to the particular element of the slide. With glider, slide elements are the widgets, and in Elementor, you can add the data attributes to any widget. First, I'll go to the Swiper's official website and take a look what it says about the parallax. There shouldn't be too many options, but rest assured it's going to be enough. So here they are. Parallax by either of the two axes, X and Y, then the scale, opacity, and parallax duration. That's pretty much it. And right below, there's an example of how to use. Pretty much straightforward and absolutely doable in Elementor. Don't be afraid you ain't gonna have to write any code. As I said earlier, we're gonna use Elementor's existing feature, the attributes panel, to define the parallax effect data attributes. Let's change the way our three images slide in and out by using some parallax. So what I'm gonna do is select or highlight my first image, open Advanced tab, and expand Attributes panel. I'll just copy paste ready-made data attributes to save some time. Alright, now I'll just use identical set of data attributes for two other image widgets. I want them all to slide in and out in the same way, in the same fashion. That's not a must. You can use these attributes in a different fashion. It all depends on what you are up to. In this case, I want them to partially overlap, scale a bit when they slide in or slide out, and fade from 0 to 100%. That kind of effect might look like a cover flow effect. So the point is that you can score a whole spectrum of different visual effects by combining only a few data attributes. The only drawback here is the fact that the parallax won't work in Elementor's preview. You'll have to do it in a browser. So this is how my image slider looks like after the parallax being applied. By me, it's much better than before simply because of that quasi cover flow effect. And that's pretty much it. Like I said before, you can download the training file and see how other gliders were built. You can create your own slider from scratch. You can even copy paste entire column from one of the existing sliders into your own. You can play with options, etc., etc. Oh yeah, there's another flaw that I forgot to mention before, sorry for that. Is the max number of slides or columns that you can add per glider instance. And this one's not up to the add-on itself, but rather this is the limitation of Elementor. If you didn't know, the max number of columns per section in an Elementor is 10. So 10 is also the max number of slides that you can add. I know it might be frustrating, but there's not much to be done to kind of fix it. If there is, I would have already fixed it. Thanks for watching. Stay well. Peace and love.